It's Weezy F, baby, and the F is for stunt, though. Young baby. Fuck. I'm fucking bored.
All right, we are live with episode 666. That was my attempt at sound effects. So yeah, this is episode 6, BullshitCast number 2. My guest today is Shane Blair, Esquire. He's not a lawyer though. Shane is a musician, YouTuber, and potential comedian. If I can get him up there. We talked about some silly stuff today. He's a natural behind the mic. He's been doing it for a couple years. We talked about some drug use. We talked about our common ability to quote movies in crucial situations. And near the end, we talk about the meaning of the universe. So overall, good. Keep your eyes on the road. Enjoy. Bye, guys. And we are recording. Go ahead, say something.
What's up, guys? My name's Shane Blair.
There it goes.
And this is Jackass.
Yeah, sadly, no. We don't. We have to sit down for this. We don't get to do crazy stunts.
Oh man, I brought my shopping cart.
Is there a brick wall we can go?
I guess I'll just put groceries in it.
I guess that's what we have to do.
End of my bit. Bye, guys.
All right, that's it. We hit our 30-second mark, and there's really no more reason to go past that.
A little goes a long way. A little goes a long way. Otherwise, you get annoyed.
Well, actually, it'd probably be funny if you kind of described yourself to my audience.
Oh goodness.
Because you have your own audience.
Yeah. How do you describe a god? Oh gosh, it's like a tingly feeling that kind of feels good. That's more agitating than anything, but it's just a little bit of like, oh, that's weird. That's what I'm like.
That's you in a box right there.
Yeah. You know the electric thing that's in Spencer's that you put your hand. It's like a crystal ball, and then you put your hand in the electricity.
Yeah.
That's live footage of my brain. Live footage.
That's
live feed.
But what?
No, I'm a youth pastor. Stupid.
It's an emerging market, I hear.
In all seriousness, the powder of prayer is very important to my work. Essential.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I hear that does good things, miracles even.
Miracles, yeah. In the end, it's all about what you snort. So you
were praying pretty hard last night.
Yeah, a lot of prayer, a lot of blessings, Stupid.
Oh god. But what do you do again?
Okay. What do I do? That was the question. Well, other than all for other stuff, I just said. I make music on YouTube. I make tribute videos to movie characters and video game characters.
Are they tribute, or would that be more considered parody?
Parody's definitely. I would say parody's definitely involved with those.
But it's all comes from a good place. So you're not trying to make insulting fun at the characters.
No, yeah. I mean, if humor comes up as I'm recording the lyrics, then yeah, I'll introduce humor. But I would say, the whole reason I made that, the first song I made was Skyrim, and that was about the Dragonborn or whatever. And I made that as a joke, wasn't intending a YouTube video whatsoever. And I made that as a joke. And the reason I chose that subject matter was because I can make music with, I can make the instrumental parts pretty naturally. I can do that pretty good.
Just off the top of your head?
Yeah, I can come up with like a tune or a rhythm or whatnot, but I can't come up with like subject matter or lyrics. I just hate it. It annoys me. So I was like, what do I know? Like, what do I know really well? And at the time, I just knew Skyrim. Like, I knew all of the info. I had it all lined up in my head perfectly. And I was like,
Right.
well, I'll just rap about that.
Just played it so many times that...
Because I wanted to sing about something meaningful, so Dragonborn really touched me and reminded me of when I was a boy, learning to shout.
So how has being able to like make music like always come very easy?
Well, just as far as like instrumental stuff, yeah, I guess
just,
so.
Like,
Yeah.
naturally good at everything.
I don't want to say good. I mean, to me, it's just like I'm throwing together pieces, and it's like I guess to me, it's just like I feel like I'm copying stuff, and just like, oh, okay, I've heard that, and we put in little elements.
I hear from people who are more musically. I'm not at all, but people who are more musically inclined. That a lot of times it's like a language, and it's like you just kind of have to figure out which words, so to speak, go together. Like, oh, okay, this sentence goes here, this one goes there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's all a bunch of little elements that you just put together, and in the right sort of, I guess, in the right order. Once you have, you don't really know how it's going to come together, and then you put all these together. You put different elements and different tracks together, and all of a sudden it becomes a song. And there's always that moment when you're making something, and you're just like, I can feel like it's actually becoming something. It's not empty.
Yeah.
It's not just a single track, and you're like, I can see where it's headed. But once I have that, and I always do the instrumentals first. Once I have that, I have to come up with something
to say.
Yeah, and I'll do the whole tune first. Like a lot of people write first.
Is that so? Well, there's definitely a pattern to like how songs are constructed and how you might go about it. But so like you don't take the lyrics into consideration at all.
No.
Like where to place emphasis in your music. Like you do music first.
I'll do the music first, and I'll do the music first, and I know what I'm gonna to like now. I've done enough of these videos. It's no longer accidental. That it's intended. It is intended, but I'll do the music first, and when I write lyrics, I already know what the subject's going to be or what the project's going to be, but I won't know exactly what I'm going to say. And the way I write lyrics is I have the instrumental, pretty much, laid out, and then I'll just measure by measure kind of start talking and doing. I don't even write it out entirely. I just kind of like I'll either rap or sing about just a little part, and then I'll find out what rhymes next. I'll perfect that, record the final track of that little tiny line, and then be like, all right, how do I finish that? And then I'll just keep going. How
labor intensive does that usually get?
For me, I mean, I've done it enough times to where it's actually pretty natural at this point. Because, eventually you might get stuck on a subject. Like, a lot of times I'll tell a certain moment in a movie or something because I'm so into that movie, but then I'm like, they don't really need to hear about their father's story before that. Like when I did the Batman, so I did a song about Christopher Nolan's Batman, and I love all those movies, all three of those movies. I love those, but when I was doing the song, it was kind of a speedy, like it was just a lot of fast lyrics, but I just got caught up in the very first part where like his father's getting shot in the alleyway and whatnot, and I was talking about the killer. His name is Joe Chill and everything, and then I realized like I'm not even at Liam Neeson yet. And I'm still talking, and I'm like, oh man, I'm at the chorus, so I can't just be like, yeah, and we're in court and Batman. It's like, no, so I have to like cut a lot of that stuff, and I have to remind myself that like, not everyone's as into the lore.
Yeah, into the background.
Yeah, and God forbid I'm doing a song like, about the Lord of the Rings or something that has some serious backstory.
Something you could go in depth. You could do a whole album on.
Yeah, I mentioned Numenor, and then I'm like, and by the way, what that is. I guess I should tell that story.
And if I'm going to tell it right, I have to start off way back in
the Silmarillion, the creation from Eru. Good Lord. But no. So I'll just write the lyrics as they come, and I do like that process. I've always wondered like which process is better, like making the instrumental part or the lyric part.
Apparently that's how Eminem does it reverse.
Most people do it reverse. Yeah.
He writes, he sings or he raps, whatever he is feeling like doing in the studio, and then him and his team or Dre or whatever will create a beat to match his rhythm. I don't think he does that for every song, but I remember reading like that was one of his, that was like his process, like back when he was making a lot of music and
For
stuff.
sure. Yeah, and I think that's why most people do it. But I've always thought about why, I don't do that, and I think I realized because, like my music exposure when I was a kid, and I listened to a lot of stuff, but I played a lot of video games, and I played like Halo and things like that, and I listened to the music so much in as I was playing it that was my influence. So there were no lyrics.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of gravitate more towards like the instrumental side, and then the lyrics they have to be done, so I put them in. But to me, I'm like, that's what I'm focused on, just because that was what I was inspired by as a kid.
Yeah, it's like
movies
a subconscious reminder for you.
Like I'm listening to movie soundtracks and stuff. Like that's what I'm. You think man, when you roll up in your car and you roll down your window and you got some Batman Begins, the babes, let me tell you, they keep driving. They actually don't give you their number.
No, they go for it.
Give you a grenade.
This is the one town that you can get away with that, where you can. The other day I was driving and I had Take My Breath Away. I had it on max, windows down, driving down.
Yeah.
Like Melrose Boulevard, or what is it, Melrose? And people like pulling up next to me and at stoplight and stuff. They look over. They're a little skeptical at first. Like, what is that? Is he playing Take My Breath? Okay. And then they're like, I look over and I'm like, hey. And they're like,
and then you put on your aviators like Tom Cruise and
yeah. Constantly trying to be like Tom Cruise.
No, that'll work. I mean, the other day there was this fucking babe. There was this babe at the stoplight. Rolled down my window. No, I'm kidding. And her panties stayed on. Actually, another pair got on.
Just magically appeared.
I swallowed sadness that day. Bring back dark times, actually.
Yeah.
Stupid. But yeah, no, that's what I do on YouTube, and so far it's okay. It's still up and coming. It's just you gotta.
Well, it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah, it's a fun thing to do.
Like I said, like for this podcast, I think having something to work on that is centered around yourself. That sounds selfish, but I think it's healthy for you to exercise that sort of creative side, and even if it's not extremely productive or extremely profitable, then at least I think it keeps you sane. Well,
you're utilizing at least if it's not, even if it's not like a talent, like it's at least a passion,
Yeah.
So that can't be bad,
No, well, there's a couple passions I've gotten away from people, but
if I shared all of my passions, let me tell you.
But so actually, when are you gonna go and do an open mic?
An open mic, goodness.
Because if you're not, I'm gonna steal your jokes.
Well, first I gotta have talent. So, looking for some deals. I don't know. I get yelled at a lot for that.
Because your natural conversatory pattern, if I could make up a term, is to do jokes.
I guess. I mean, like primarily, obviously, I'm naturally a bodybuilder, and then after that, I guess you could say humor. But besides just expert marksman.
Right.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I could have enough crap to get up on stage and just access. But for some reason, I just can't bring I don't know. I will, though. I will.
Have you ever done a live performance, like with music or anything like that?
No. Well, at the Hollywood Improv, Steve Glickman's a really nice comedian who comes by and does a show. And he has the nighttime show, which is sort of a, as you know, it's a
variety
talk
show.
Sort of, night talk show thing. And for whatever reason, I I got a Irish tin whistle, as you've seen in the past.
Irish tin whistle.
And I got that as a joke again, and I accidentally got really good at it. I did. I tripped and fell.
Do that natural musical talent.
I tripped and fell on the whistle and then played the Titanic theme. But really,
I remember that. Yeah,
really beautiful.
He brought you up twice, I think, right?
Yeah, I went up again in the lab, and that was totally did not know that was happening. But the first time, I played the Titanic because it's really funny that someone pulls out an Irish tin whistle. I was like. So,
pretty good imitation of the whistle.
I'm really talented, but no. But no, I played that, and someone filmed it, and then he saw it on Facebook. I've never really talked to the guy, and then he texted me, got my number from the Improv, and he was just like, "Hey, we need you on the show. I want you to do this. We're gonna play that, and we're gonna do a whole bit." And then he did. I have that on my phone, actually. I have footage of it. But
I remember you came up to me and you're like, I need a beer, I need a shot.
I was so nervous. I've never been on stage before, ever in my life. And that was 200 people, and I played
that was the first time.
First time ever.
And you're going on stage at the Hollywood Improv to do a bit with an Irish tin whistle.
Oh, man. I did 3 shots. I did other stuff. Some exercises.
That's some jumping jacks in the parking lot.
I mean, I did some bench press.
Yeah, well... You are a bodybuilder.
Yeah, well, it's not my choice, but
that's funny though.
We use the tools that God gives us.
It's funny because in a group of people, you have no trepidation on just joke, and it's like everyone listen to this joke, boom, hits, laughs. That's the same thing.
That's a great feeling.
Same thing at the open mic. In fact,
I think what it is the sort of. The difference, and I've always thought about that, why is a room with 30 people fine? And I think it's because none of them are expecting to laugh, and then I have this kind of edge where I'm like, oh, I know they think I'm serious, and I'm like, you know what really bothers me? And they all look like, what? And then I'm like, well, politics are the worst kind of ticks. They spread disease, and they'll really get you stressed. If you just don't get involved with politics, you'll stay healthy. And then they're like, oh, it was a joke, But when I get on stage, everyone's ready to laugh. And I was oh, pressure's on.
There is that feeling, especially at the improv mics, because there's some really terrible people, and well, not terrible people. There's some really garbage ones, and then there's some middle of the road. They're probably just trying it out for some fun or whatever. And then there's some pretty decent ones. And then I feel like the guys in the middle of the pack, they don't get as many laughs because, what you said, there's a lot of people, they kind of want to be supportive, they kind of want to laugh, they want to joke.
For sure.
And then when something doesn't, hit as hard because they're already expecting it, that
exactly.
it's deflating a little bit.
Exactly.
And
I don't think that it's not that I'd be and that's why I would fail. It's just that's I guess the only reason that I'm nervous in that scenario rather than just this sort of natural where no one's really expecting it, so you can stab at it from afar.
Yeah.
Rather than you're up there and they're for that, they're expecting you to make a joke, which is that's a little different.
I don't know. I'm on the list. I'm going up in February.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you done that before? You've done that?
No, never.
Really?
Most I've ever done for a performance was a 5th grade play. And I had 6 lines, and I think I forgot one. But I was really happy with it. It was a good performance, and it was for parents or something like that. But that's the only time I've ever done any sort of performance in that sort of stage play kind of thing.
So you're gonna do it
I've been writing. I've been writing, and I figure since we work at the Improv and we get an automatic spot.
Yeah.
And because I've worked enough of the open mics to know that pretty much everyone there is garbage.
Yeah.
And, I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
I kind of I have my regulars and stuff that I see that it kind of creates a little community. And then just. It feels like an opportunity that I can have fun with. That if I don't, get all worked up about it and stress about it, then it could, like I said, it could turn into something good, or at the very least, it's an experience, and it's I think it'd just be fun to do, and something to keep you happy.
I mean, as soon as you get talent, that'll be interesting to see, but. Stupid.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm missing. Is talent.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you find some, I guess, then we'll save it.
I keep looking for it in that bong over there, but
Well, the way guys look for things, you'll be looking in the refrigerator, like, where are the keys in here? I don't know, babe. But
no, because everyone says that up at the improv. When's Shane gonna go up?
yeah, no, I know. I was being yelled at by one of my friends, Naz, over there yesterday. He's just like, yo, man, when are you gonna go on the improv? That's how he sounds.
Right? That's like, well, here's the thing, that because they're trying to like compete with the store like, really hard, in these last like 2-3 months, they've been like really like trying to dig in there. That, you know, they've been giving more hosting and even on the main stage, like
true.
hosting positions to the door or to the staff comics.
Yeah.
Naz, Michael D'Angelo,
Graham.
Graham
Rogers, yep.
Rena,
Logan.
yeah, exactly, and they're all really good, and they're giving those opportunities in an attempt to kind of, you know, create the same environment that the store, you know, fosters, and it wouldn't, even if you don't get a, you know, room full of laughs every time, because like you said, you know, they're sitting there waiting for it.
Yeah.
I think you have that natural path towards
I appreciate
getting
that.
out of the open mic purgatory of just going from open mic to open mic because you work there and because, you know,
Yeah.
you have talent.
Oh, I appreciate that. I've really thought about that, because like the worst fear, and of course it has to happen, is like failing, you know. And it's one of those things that unfortunately it has to happen. Like it's good that it happens and it has to.
Yeah, you have to fail.
And I'm just like, oh, you know. It's like when I started having a lot of YouTube videos up, and I mean, you know, when I first started, like 4 YouTube videos, it was all positive responses. But the more popular something gets, the more opportunity there is for someone to just be, man, I don't know about this. Yeah. And I remember my first, you know, in sort of a trivial example, my first thumbs down rating really was hard on me, and I knew it was coming. Because it's like everything. They could be like, Mother Teresa blesses a blind child and he sees again. Some kid will click the thumbs down button, so it's gonna happen. Because that's a stupid, sucky concept. No. I mean, nature chose him as a blind kid, so just stay there. No. But
Eventually you had to get one.
Yeah, so
somebody wasn't gonna like your shit.
Exactly, and I did that, and I was like, oh. But then I realized after that all the other ones I got is like, you know, and that's a good thing. Because now I'm like, whatever, you know. Once it happens, I'm not heartbroken. And then the negative comment, I remember the first negative comment I ever had, I remember it. And he was like, good song, his singing sucks though. And I was like, oh. And I read through all of my comments back then, like all of them.
Yeah.
Like every single one had a like, you know, like that I put. And that was the first negative one. But I'm glad they said it. The more brutal, the better. Because now everyone after that, I'm like, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, that's less effect.
Yeah, but you gotta have, and that's the stand-up thing, is you gotta fail. Every comic tells you that. Every huge comic's like, oh, you gotta go get up there and fail. Because then, when a joke doesn't hit, you're not gonna be just devastated, or, you know, when someone you don't do well, it's not gonna be just. We've all seen those comics, you're like, this audience sucks. You don't want to be that guy. Yeah. Because, like, it's important to remind yourself as a comic, and I've seen this with open micers, they're like, what, this place is weird. And you're like, okay, well, would Dave Chappelle have said that if he went up? Because they probably wouldn't have been weird for him. Yeah. And that means that's your, you know?
And we get real professional comedians that go up on our open mic sometimes.
For sure.
Like, once or twice a month, you'll get Kirk Fox or...
yeah.
Oh, what's that?
You remember the time, it was about a year and a half ago, but Adam Sandler walked in for an open mic.
Yeah.
You didn't know it was an open mic.
Nope, but they show up and they really like that room in the lab, and, you know, that they want to... Oh, hey, can I do 5-10 minutes?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Have fun.
No, Adam Sandler, you cannot.
You can't come
We got
perform in the
No
free
Name
show.
Johnson over here.
Is your name in the bucket?
Yeah, I don't know if we have space, but we've got a guy who lives in his car going up next, so I don't know if there's space for you, Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Silly. But no, that's definitely something, and I'm always saying it. I hate myself for always saying it, but I do want to do the open mic, or at least just some stand-up.
Sign up for February. Do it with me, so I have someone to go and fucking do it with. Because otherwise, I'm just gonna be in the corner chugging an IPA, trying to get buzzed enough that
Oh yeah, no,
I'm not nervous on
my,
stage.
My standard issue double shot of Jameson before I go up there.
Yeah, I think what I need to do is have an IPA and then a light beer.
Yeah.
Because the heavy alcohol percentage, the first one won't hit me, but it'll be in there. So when I have a light beer, it'll settle in, and I think that's like my sweet spot for not giving a fuck.
Yeah. Well, you gotta have that too, because I don't know. There's this weird phenomenon. No matter how charismatic you are, when you go on stage, all of a sudden all of your brain disappeared.
All the blood rushes to your face. Like, I blush.
Oh, yeah, me too.
When I get nervous. And then, like...
Hashtag white problem.
Right?
Whiteness confirmed. Yeah. They're like, what's wrong? You're like, I'm white.
I'm super susceptible to that.
Yeah. That's why you just get a sunburn before. Because then no one will. They already accept you as nervous.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're just sunburned. He's not nervous.
That's the thing. I gotta have a joke for it, because I know the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get up there and I know what my first, like, I'll have my first, like, 30 seconds of whatever I'm supposed to say, like, on lock, because I'll be reciting it to myself all week.
Yeah.
And I'll know I'll get up there and I'll get through those 30 seconds, and then I'll hit my natural pause where I'm supposed to, and then that's where it'll be like, wait, what's the second part?
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, oh no, I'm gonna forget my own joke. That's when the blood rushes. That's when you start to get nervous, and then, you know, more than often than not, I'll find that thread and I'll be able to hit it. But that second of blushing is just, it's that hesitation.
Oh,
and people can sense that. It's almost like it's like a sixth sense. Like, you know how polygraphs, when people are lying, they do the well, there's something that happens in your biorhythm that, you know, is imperceptible probably to most people in situations. But in situations where people are hyper attentive, such as in a comedy thing,
all the lights are on you.
All you need is that one flutter of hesitation or insecurity, and the audience picks up on that hard.
And then they'll feel a little more like insecure and awkward just because
should they be laughing at this? I don't know. And then,
well, and that's why I kind of, when I was a kid, like, you know, if ever I had any humorous influence, you know, it's for some famous examples, like Jim Carrey, Conan O'Brien, and Jack Black, things like that. But Conan O'Brien in particular, in regards to what you were just saying, there are some people who, you know, it's important to have a good joke and good jokes and whatnot. But I also think it's equal, maybe even more important, just to have, like, to have trained into your personality a sort of natural, just kind of silliness that you can fall back on.
Yeah.
You know, Conan, if we've all seen at least whatever one of his episodes or whatever, but, you know, on his opening monologue, standard nighttime talk show, so would you guys catch the bubble? But if he fails, which is you know, it's as often as any.
That's almost like his go-to.
Yeah.
I failed the joke.
Yeah, but that's why he's so. It's not because of the joke. He can handle it. Like but his personality saves the joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's something I learned from him very, very young. Is like, if something fails, you'd be like, well, all right, I'm gonna go and jump off a bridge.
Exactly.
Do you remember how many pills it takes to? Because I've only got 6, and I don't know. Can I borrow?
Yes. That would be enough.
Do you guys have one bullet?
I'm trying to be out clean.
I just need one. No, you know, if you can like fall back, the joke fails. Sometimes it's even better to like come back with like, well, no, you were right. Come on, you know. And that's something he does very well. But that's what I mean. Like, if when that flutter happens, if you can fall back,
almost embrace it.
Yeah.
And then use that as your fuel to be like,
just be like,
silly,
it's awkward, I failed that joke. You know?
Yeah.
I'm really uncomfortable.
That's funny. Now that you mention it, then the Conan O'Brien parallels to your personality, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of everything I have is not original. I'm completely.
That's what I say. Yeah. That's like every great line I've ever given someone who's like, you know, if I happen to give like a really inspiring speech, or if I happen to, you know, if someone needs advice, and I give them like a really good piece of advice, most of the time it's from some movie or TV show or some interview or something that I've seen.
You know, now that I think about it, when I asked you for advice and you were like, so do all who see such times. Now I'm thinking, I don't know if that was your line.
Yeah, no. I've actually used a lot of because, you know, watching rom-coms and stuff. I was a big rom-com fan. Tom Cruise, Jim Carrey, they happen to be in a lot of them. A lot of the lines that are in them, while cheesy, you can slightly alter or water them down a little bit, and they are perfect for girls. And that sounds terrible coming from
Yeah, but
the
that's
day
who
after
you're
the
talking
Women's
to.
March.
But that's who
But
you're talking
That's
to.
my audience.
What are you gonna say? Like they're
Well-
so good for boys. No, because that's not who you're talking
Well,
to.
what else? Yeah, exactly. What else am I supposed to learn from?
They were great on couches.
I watched rom-coms and then use those lines on girls, and it works.
Oh no, of course, because it's like so much effort went into those lines. Like there were teams of people in writing rooms
For weeks.
and then you get this, and then that's not like anyone's an idiot for receiving it. It's like you're taking something that had a lot of work that went into it, and then you just kind of, what are you gonna do the accent? Like, so do all who? No, you just be like, in times like this, it's important.
Yeah.
Remember to do with the time, what is given to you. And then they'll be like, oh my gosh, that's really good advice. And you're like, thanks, Gandalf.
Right, but that's the thing is that I don't tell them that it's from something unless they ask.
Yeah.
And they go, is that from something? Then I'll always go, yeah, it's this. Or,
Yeah. Where do you get your wisdom from? You're like, Gandalf the Grey. Actually.
Yeah, I don't.
The Grey Pilgrim?
I don't shy away from that. Point right to the old tattoo.
Oh, you could, man. Civilians are so uneducated with Lord of the Rings trivia. You could be like, actually, that represents the beginning of life, and these 3 points here are there are only 3 stages, and each one is interesting. I'm glad you brought it up because those are the worst people. I hate those people.
It's funny. Like this town is one of the only towns that we can get away with shit like that because probably maybe once or twice a month I'll get somebody either at the improv or while I'm out will be like, oh, hey, is that the
first time I saw it, I was like, what the hell is that?
Is that the Lord of the Rings tattoo? Is that it's like Tree of Gondor? I'm like, yep, that is.
You should be like, no, Rebel Alliance.
Right?
It's like, no.
Yeah.
No, but no, that's totally true. I think, and I've done the same thing. It's like you take a movie line, like if there's one Rain Man ability that I have, and it's not good shows it. You think I wanted this life, but I could watch a movie and remember lines and stuff from movies I hated, and just know it. Like everything
just
I know,
happen to stick with you.
Yeah. So when someone says something, like some crazy line that Morpheus said will pop into my head, and then it'll be like, "Are you ready to believe?"
Yeah. Well, actually, I was getting into an argument with my girlfriend, and you know the show Black Dynamite?
Oh yeah. I haven't seen it, but yeah.
Adult Swim. It's really good. It's really funny. And at one of the points, Black Dynamite's like, he says something like, sometimes the best plan is the only plan you got, and when the only plan you got is the only plan you have, that's the one you go with. And like it was something along those lines. Like this is like because like it was like some shitty plan, but they had to do it. And then I was getting in an argument with my girlfriend, and it was. I forget why we were arguing, but it was like very appropriate. Like we didn't have any other options. So I was like, it's just like Black Dynamite said the other day.
You should have said that. You should have just, if you just said the lines, then she'd be like, wow, you really spoke to me.
Well, that actually stopped the argument because she laughed and she was like, is that how your brain works? Like, yes,
unfortunately.
I'm like, yeah, that's all I hear. It's like I hear something somewhere, and then when it applies to something else, I just spit it right out.
Oh no, dude! You know how many times they'll be like, how did you know what year of the Crusades? And they're like, not from freaking school. It was from King of Heaven.
Right? Great movie.
Yeah. It's not from anything. No, it's like, that's how my brain. And they're like, isn't that? I wish I had it. And you're like, no, you don't. You think you want this? Don't ever say that again. As you cry with a tear.
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse.
It is. No, it's. I was talking to my friend Lindsay the other day, and she's like, oh man, it'd be so cool to access lines like that, because I'm close enough with her to where I'll have a thought, and I'll be like, you know what I just thought of with that response? Like, I'm not getting distracted, I promise, but this was the line, or this was the scene. And she's like, gosh, how do you pick scenes out like that? And I was like, I don't know. I know you wish you could do that, but also, like, what would you trade that you can do? Because, like, would you trade your mathematical ability or your spelling, common knowledge?
There's a bunch of shit that I can't do.
Yeah,
I wish I could.
chose that instead. Like, would you take away all the good grades you ever got?
Yeah. What do you
that's what I
sacrifice for this?
You can have D's and this, or A's and whatever you got. So it's not better or worse. It's like, that's just. You only get so much.
Yeah.
When I leveled up my character, I put all the stars in
Just
movies.
kept feeding that one.
Yeah, and then I realized, oh no, my acrobatics and my alchemy. So stupid. I mean, I'm only a level 3 journeyman mage, so it's like, you know, I've got more work than that.
Yeah, I gotta really tighten down the belt to work here.
So silly. But yes, that's my position on the women's march.
Well, hold on. So actually, that's a good transition point. 'Cause something I actually wrote down to talk to you about, because I did a podcast the other day with another friend, and I don't know if we're going to release it just because he has some trepidation, because we were talking about the Me Too #MeToo movement, I guess it's called. But we were talking about it, and you know, it's not like we were freaking bashing women and saying, "Oh, it's all terrible, Me Too." And he's like, no, we were like in support. We were just talking about its applications in pop culture. We were talking about the Aziz Ansari,
for sure,
stuff like that,
and he's not even sorry about it.
Oh my god! but yeah, no. So we were talking, and we did like maybe 25 minutes. It was nothing crazy, and we were talking about that, and I think we tied it into like Black Mirror or something like that. And it was like a decent conversation. But then at the end, he was like, I don't know if we should do that one. And I was like, why? Like, we were being honest. Like, we brought up some good points, I thought. And, you know, we were just talking about, you know, it's a topical moment in what's going on in Hollywood. We live here, yada, yada, yada. And he was like, yeah, I just don't know if I want to be on record on any side. I was like, yeah, but we're on the right side of this. Like, we're on the good side of this. Not the bad side.
Yeah, what's the other side?
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, I just don't know if I want to be on the record though. And he's like, I just want to be careful about my career and And I'm like, dude, any career that you have that whoever's in charge of it is requiring you not to be honest, is a shitty career, and that's not anything I want to be a part of.
And if you feel doubt about what you said, maybe you're not.
Yeah, and that's the only thing I said. I was like, if you're doubting anything you said, then either one, you weren't being honest, or two, I think you need to be, take a look at that and maybe do some self-reflection. But I was completely honest with what I was saying and how I felt, and I think we should release it because one, it's topical.
For sure.
Two, I'd rather be on the record, even if everyone hates me for it. If later down the road in 20 years, everyone looks back and says, "Oh my God." If we're in some version of Handmaid's Tale, where society is swung completely the other way, and they're demonizing feminists and demonizing people who are in support, I guess, or whatever. If they're you know what? Fuck that. I don't want to be. I'd rather be on the outskirts of that society than be a power player in it. And he's just like, yeah, I don't know. This town just doesn't really work like that. And I was just like,
well, I mean, I guess I can kind of maybe. If I'm really trying, I can maybe understand his hesitation, just because this town's a little odd. Even if someone shouldn't think a certain way, and there are plenty of things you're like, why would you say that? But this town in particular is like, you can't really say certain things, even if it's on your mind, or bring it up. You can't even doubt certain things, and even if that's not good to doubt or bring up. But like, as far as just something as simple as like a political party, you could never even say out loud anything but something that would be recognized as, I guess, like liberal or something like that. Just because this town is like super hardcore. Yeah. That's like being in the Westboro Baptist Church and saying, like, I think Muhammad had some good ideas. You just can't say it there. So, and that's how it is here with other things. So I kind of get his
so
hesitation.
Culty though.
It is.
It's so culty.
It is, and it's a little bit hypocritical to me. But you can't bring it up to people.
I hate that.
Like, there's a drunk guy last night, and he was like, and I'm not. I make a point of not being political. It's not apathy. It's like I'm intense about not paying attention.
I'm not Antifa, I'm anti-po. I'm anti-political.
You ever walk past a TV and then there's like red bar beneath, 4 serious faces, and then it's like Trump's tweet, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, oh, great, now I'm upset about that. Wouldn't have been upset if I didn't look at the television screen.
Just negative feelings.
Yeah, and a lot of times, what am I going to worry about that tweet 2 months from now? No. If it said like, and the continental shelf broke off, then I'm like, oh, okay. But but my point is, like, this drunk guy last night, whatever, he was drunk, he's harmless, and he might have been a little sort of disturbed, but he was like, man, LA's stupid, man, everyone's the same, and everyone's just a bunch of pussies, blah, 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 and he was leaning into some of my friends, like, I bet you hate Trump, don't you? And she's like, she's very sort of she's smart and clever girl, so she didn't really give into that, bait. And she was like, whatever, When really it's like, yeah, I have an opinion about it. But he's like, yeah, see, and I almost told him, just because, and it wasn't because I felt this way, but in regards to what your friend was saying, I was almost like, dude, like, you gotta like be careful about when you're throwing that name around in Hollywood. You'll just, it's not violent. It's not like you're in the hood now, but it's like, dude, you'll get kicked out of here. Like, people will gang up on you. It won't be a good experience.
People will organize. There will be.
It's like wearing
there will be a march.
It's like wearing a make or granite. You just can't do it here. So that's what I think. That's what I mean. Like, this is things you can't do here.
Okay, but I didn't see. Well, as much as you're right, and there are things that you can't do, I think isn't that like the worst part of our society?
Oh, that's horrible.
When things like that happen.
And the thing is, what's ironic about this place in particular is that a lot of the people that would cheer when someone with a red hat that said, a MAGA hat gets hit, a lot of those people, and certainly, like, I don't necessarily agree with the person wearing that hat. It's a big, bold statement, and, whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't agree with someone walking up and hitting somebody. To me, like, the ultimate society is like Rivendell.
Yeah.
And I'm like, would Elrond walk up and... No, he would recognize I disagree and be like, and then that's it. That's the right society.
And he'd actually invite you to stay and maybe try to show you his ways slowly, surely. Lots of feasts, lots of music.
Exactly.
Try to win you over the old-fashioned way.
Exactly, the old-fashioned way. What elves used to do it in the first age.
Yeah, the real old-fashioned.
Yeah, but no, like, but the sort of the hypocritical aspect to it is like a lot of those people who would cheer when that person gets hit are the same people that would say like, oh, it's important, that's just their culture and blah blah. Maybe not that one, but to different cultures.
Exactly.
Like, it's important to accept people's beliefs and understandings, and you can't judge and blah blah blah. Yeah, this is totally. Yeah. And I'm like, you sound a lot like the Roman Catholic Church back in the medieval times to me.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
what would Jesus do? Not burn that guy at the stake.
That's the worst part of that, because and the whole tweet atmosphere, like we were saying, is I think the cause of it. He's tweeting a lot, but everyone's tweeting an insane amount about it. And it's just constant negativity that constantly comes back. Exactly. And you're right, you're not going to worry about it in 2 months. But in 2 hours, he's going to do another tweet that's going to upset you. And another one that upsets you. And it's going to fuel that, you start associating the negativity and the news that you see towards that.
Exactly.
Towards people that you see in real life. And that's not how you're supposed to act with people in real life. People in real life are much more closer to you and much more sympathetic with whatever situation you are in. Like, if you're in a car, the guy in the car next to you, you might get road rage if he cuts you off, but at the end of the day, you're not going to fucking crash into him because you don't want to die. You have that respect because you're real life in person having to deal with consequences.
Of course.
And I think the negativity and the division that's coming from a lot of these issues, and even just trying to talk about them, is exacerbating the worst impulses and bringing down our inhibitors from those consequences in real life.
Well, and you can't. I'm a huge advocate for just technology and like the internet and bringing the world together and whatnot. But just as far as communication goes and whatnot, but like there's a setback to it, and if you do say the wrong thing, you can be like sort of I guess as from a social network standpoint crucified. And just destroyed before it's even proven. Like, for example, now, and there are a lot of, there are probably most of the cases right now of like, regarding to the movement you were mentioning, or like sexual assault or sort of some behavior that might should be in question and whatnot. But there's a second side to that. I think it's important that the country's founded on, and it's like innocent until proven guilty kind of thing. Yeah. And as soon as you're accused of it, you're already guilty. Yeah, because the internet's like, hey, it's like the hang him.
Yeah, exactly. The mob forms.
And it's like, dude, you're just fired up in the group. Like, you don't even know the stuff yet.
Kill the beast.
Yeah, just kill him. Like, we just want to see someone hang, and that's literally.
We want blood.
Yeah, that's literally what it is. Every time I see on Facebook, I'm like, this was announced today.
Is there something to that maybe like the more peaceful society gets, that naturally we need violence?
Well, and that's the thing. That I have to remind myself of that, because I do the one thing I was plenty I love about this country, but this is a first world country, and there aren't many of those in the world. There's maybe I don't want to give a number, but there are a few, and they're usually pretty much the more popular countries out there.
Which you can name.
Yeah, it's like the UK, the US, Canada. You could name. You could start. Yeah, well, okay, some of the smaller places, yeah. But as far as world powers, first world country, it's rare.
Yeah.
And so, to me, every time I see something stupid, like someone's really upset about a tweet, which I think is silly, I cannot look at those TVs with serious faces when they're talking about something that's called a tweet. They're like, well, it's really big. I'm like, it's called a tweet. It's a baby word. And you're all looking at it like it's the World Trade Center again. But no, so, every time I see someone upset about that, and I get, like, fired up, because I'm like, it's not important. I have to remind myself, I'm like, you know what? That's just something first world countries. Now I'm proving that this is a first world country.
These are first world problems that
when people feel, when they feel like they've been offended about something that's very simple, they're just like, gosh, can you believe that? Or people that are like, I believe I'm a cat. Those people, you have to remind yourself, you're like, that's a good sign.
That's a good sign.
Because
we live in a society
that means it's very safe. We're very protected. We're very provided for.
People that
we're so comfortable that we have to be something else.
You seem like the grown folks that want to be babies.
Oh gosh, that sounds great.
They dress up in diapers and they lay in an adult-sized crib and play with rattles and pinwheels all day. And they have their wife or their significant other, because I don't think they consider themselves husband and wife.
A lot of baby marriages I've been invited to.
Right?
That's a new one. Wow, that's interesting. Again, right now I just had to access that safety. It's okay because it's a first world country. Yeah. And that's a sign. That's a good sign. It's a sign that you've really
reached a place.
You've got a very good country.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't, where you're not seeing that stuff? Uganda,
North Korea.
Not a lot of cat people in El Salvador. It's just not, because they're not there yet. As soon as they become real comfortable and they have government aid,
they get that high standard of living.
Yeah. As soon as they're up there in the top class, they'll start being cat people and baby people.
Yeah.
People are marrying furniture.
That's what I was trying to tell some friends last night. I was making a joke, but
you're gonna lose your entire cat person audience, by the way.
Yeah, I know. They're gone. They're like, oh, I can't believe he would single us out like that.
Actually, I think they would say it like, stupid, stupid, dumb.
Yeah, I was making a joke last night because we were talking about like, I guess geography mostly, but we're talking about, I guess, the Women's March specifically. And I was just like, yeah, when's the next North Korean march? I can't remember. and then people were looking at me weird. They were all drunk and shit, so I was like, all right, maybe I'm just being an idiot and I just should stop while I'm ahead. But I was just like, how come no one's marching for that shit?
Yeah.
Like, that's a real issue that's going on. People are starving there. People are really under oppression. But we're worried about... What are we worried about again?
Yeah.
Women don't have rights in this country? It's like, not that I'm saying there's not issues.
No, there's plenty of issues, yeah.
But I just don't see you're right, it's like first world problems.
Yeah, they're first world problems. I mean, it's like, and whatever, I mean, those are the problems here, and those are problems that need to be addressed, but, in comparison to something like that, or like any other country has to worry about, just people like any other, and I'll throw out the 3 examples that are fine. But no, a lot of countries will have to worry about. That's not something they would be focused on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally get what your point is, and yeah, there are. That's just, again, that's proof. You have to look at that and you just be like, oh well, we're doing pretty good then. Yeah. It's like that means we're pretty advanced. But
we're getting there.
Man, North Korea. That's so funny because that's something that everybody knows is a bad situation. And everybody feels for those people, but nobody wants to admit that the only way that gets solved is exactly what's gonna happen. It's like,
that's a tough conversation.
That's the only way that gets solved. What are you just gonna update to the new North Korea iOS, and then it's like, oh, this one's free, awesome. Nope. That gets solved the way that all the other ones got solved. So you're like, if he's not careful, we're gonna go to war. I'm like, yeah, no, that's exactly what we're gonna do. Are you kidding? That'll happen eventually anyway.
Yeah.
What does that? If you're writing that character into a story, Kim Jong-un, and that, how does that movie end? And it ends with him getting invaded and him being overthrown, and there's a huge battle.
And then you have freedom.
He doesn't come up and he's like, I'm sorry. I'd like to excuse myself, and it's been a lovely evening.
Yes.
That's not what he says. No. He gets locked in, and the guys are like, they're coming in! and then he blows up himself.
Yeah, that's a reality that
chicken leg
people,
bomb.
that's a reality
what
people do not want to realize. Especially, I've noticed that. I'm gonna channel your drunk friend from last night. Those pussy liberals in LA. But the conversation that I have is a lot of times I'll hear people talking politics or issues like North Korea and shit. And then they go, well, what's your opinion? And my default opinion on any issue, on any real issue like those ones is, it doesn't matter until people are willing to fight. So once you're ready to give your life for an issue, that's when change will happen. And before then, everything's talk.
They can't even receive that, though.
They don't process that.
I mean, you're coming from a perspective that they can't even
I guess
to,
I do come from a perspective that's either we're fighting or we're not fighting, and like that's the end of it.
But here, they're in fedoras and shit. I mean, you're not going to be...
And it's hard for people to wrap their mind around. It's just like, well, how do we solve this issue?
Yeah.
We have the solution. It's just how far are you willing to go to get it?
Exactly.
Because that's what it's going to take.
Yeah.
And it's... and for better or worse, it's probably going to happen the next 3 or 4 years.
To me, and that's the problem, is like, why are you talking about it and we all know that's how you solve that problem. Like, what else is there?
I'm sure the defense secretary and Mattis and the Pentagon they just love that Trump's constantly bringing up how much better his button is and how much bigger his button is. Because if I'm the military,
does the button really have to be bigger? It's a big nuke. We're going to need a big button.
It's a nuke, right? So, like, I'm going to need at least this big. I want to be able to press my whole hand on the button. Beep, 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 beep.
Big buttons. God.
No,
Stupid jokes.
But that is, I guess, something like that's because if I'm the military and if I'm the senior in charge, if I'm Secretary Mattis, and my president is just constantly taunting somebody that I'm like, hey, we're going in.
Yeah.
Soon.
And
what are you doing? You're fucking up my whole shit.
Yeah. Well, it's not that, like, I'm not saying, I know it could maybe be interpreted when listening if you don't know me, like, I'm not saying, like, just like, yeah, go get him, like, bro, here's my Bud Light and go, war. I'm not saying that, but I'm just like, it's naive to... I mean,
to think that
is the solution. Yeah. I'm not saying that's what should happen. I'm just saying, like, that's how that ends.
Yeah, that's
whether it's someone else or... But so if you're going to tell me that they need to be whatever, don't be saying you're not pro that if that's what you're saying. I'm just saying...
It's an interesting lesson, or it's an interesting gauge on where people's human compassion is. Because do you feel okay, like if you were to ask a random Los Angelino on the street, do you feel okay being safe in America with not an inactive, but not a free, but a contained North Korea that's not causing problems? Do you feel okay with that, knowing what's going on over there? Or would you rather put up with strife and war, technically, for however long, in order to
stop that?
Yeah. In order to save those people?
Yeah.
And where on that spectrum of compassion do you tend to sway? And sometimes it's hard for people to wrap their mind around that.
And that's true, and that's that's a much better way of putting it than I did. And that's exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
Is like, okay, if you can't say one thing and then not be willing to do what it would take to sort of liberate those people, and don't be like, well, blah blah blah, no, blah, blah, blah. And then say, like, also, we got to do something. Like, well, what's that something? We got to do something about those people. Yeah, but you just said, well, we got to stop this. We're going to go to war. I'm like, dude, what you're saying is, to me, like, you want to free those people.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. To me, it's important to check yourself for hypocrisy when you say something or think something.
Yeah.
Not
a lot of self-awareness.
There's not a lot of that in not just this place, but...
the world
people,
in general.
I'm learning that more and more people have like emotional
Our generation's fucked on that. Like we're all told, me, but then to not actually do any sort of reflection on me.
No, it's because it's like, We love you. You can be anything you want. You're right, sweetie. Here's your treat. That's what we've been. That was our upbringing. And what happens when you get that? Twirled mustaches, fedoras, flowy shirts, boots. It's only a matter of time before they're wearing Spurs, dude. I'm telling you. It's always Spurs, ironically. Ching, ching. Swinging doors. They'll walk in and you'll be like, it's just a hipster. We'll all turn around as a cowboy, like, oh, who's the badass? Nope, hipster.
Well, no, they won't be allowed in because those will be considered weapons.
Oh, that's true, yeah. And then...
This is a safe space.
I'll be triggered. Get it? Because it's Cowboys? Okay. I'm going to leave. No. Ridiculous. No, but those are good points. Man, it's so funny how you get sidetracked when having a good conversation.
Right.
No, that's interesting, though. No, this started with the Me Too thing. You were talking about your friend with the...
Yeah, well, I just, the whole idea of having an opinion, being honest, at least, I thought, and then to be scared of that honesty, or be scared to own that honesty, is just, it's probably my biggest pet peeve in personality traits, is being fake.
Exactly.
So to speak, is because if you're not being honest with everyone else, then you're not being honest with yourself, and you're just a facade.
Yeah.
You know, you're like a cardboard cutout of yourself that might as well just knock down. Like you're not, there's no substance.
Well, and I totally.
I guess my question would be, do you have any trepidation, not just in front of a microphone, but do you have any trepidation when you have conversations with? And obviously, you're careful and you have to be smart about your social or your surroundings. But
yeah,
do you have any trepidation sharing an opinion or?
That's a good question because, and I was going to mention just from his perspective, it's important to, as you mentioned, like when you have an opinion, to check yourself first, like to really try to see, not just based on what's popular or what you were brought up with, but it's important to see like, well, why would the other person think that?
Right.
And
attack your perspective from all angles.
Exactly. Because then you can really understand, even if you totally don't agree with somebody, if they're doing something horrible, if you can fully justify to yourself why they are the way that they are, and it's not just like, you're just crazy, because then, you're doing an injustice to yourself in the way you have an opinion. So,
yeah.
To answer your question, I was going to use an example, like when someone asks you something and you're not sure about it, you shouldn't give an answer other than like, maybe your thoughts on it, maybe the conflicts you have, and maybe that you're unsure yet. Sort of an agnostic on the subject,
Yeah.
But if you do have an opinion, then say it, and don't be afraid for it to go out in public, because you actually believe that, and you thought about it, and that's what you believe. Don't just say it because that's what's cool, and you're not sure about it.
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, I totally get not wanting an interview to go out public. But it's like, because then you're like, oh, I lied. I don't actually think that. I just was worried and I was cornered. But don't ever do that. Yeah. It's totally okay to say, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at the issue as much as I would like. And that's, I think, a huge thing with society, I guess. But conversations that you don't have a lot of time. A lot of times people don't give conversations the breadth that they need in order to form those fully thought out opinions.
Exactly.
A lot of times you're trying to catch 30 seconds of pitter patter back and forth with a buddy before you're like, okay, now why I gotta go, man? And the next thing, oh, hey, meet this person. It's constant that.
And that's another thing. Kind of in a similar example to before, like you're almost not even allowed to say I don't know yet. Like, here's something that like just as an example, if someone's like, what's your policy on abortion, let's say, you can't even say like, I have mixed feelings about it. You can, or I'm not sure yet. You're not allowed to say that.
No, you have to know one.
Yeah.
Because if as soon as you say I don't know, they're gonna be like, well, let me tell you
how
mine.
Could you not?
Yeah, how could you?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I remember I did that when the elections were going on, way early, like when the primaries were running on both sides, and it was like they're like, who do you support? And you have to have a thought, and you have to have a decision now. And I'm like, it's June, man. Like, I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I'm kind of watching still. And they're like, yeah, whoa, how could you possibly not choose what I was thinking? And it's like, and you
just turned me off to the whole process, bro.
Yeah, I'm like, to me, and I was trying to tell this, it was an older guy. It was a dad of a friend, and and he was a seriously pro Hillary guy, which is fine. And he was like, So he started talking politics, and I have a lot to say about it in an unpopular way. Just kind of like, there's a lot of reasons why I don't think it's important to focus on certain things that a lot of people do. And I'm not trying to bash on anybody's thing, but I'm just like, I think really, the way I put it, I was like, if you're really seriously gung-ho and just locked on either side, I think that's a worse sign than not being completely decided yet.
Yeah.
Like, if you're already like, bam, then it's like, maybe you're robbing yourself of some information that you're not willing to accept,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that person's right, but it's important to step back and from an not even just unbiased, but from a completely just I'm willing to absorb the knowledge.
Yeah,
here.
take in information.
Yeah, and people aren't willing to do that. And he wasn't. He flipped out on me for not saying. I didn't say anything. I didn't say I was pro this, but because I said I didn't, I'm still kind of listening. Because I said that, I was pro.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
him.
Now it's him trying to
This is an
convince you
adult.
of becoming a
And I'm a kid. I'm not supposed to be this. That's some wisdom that I was trying to teach him.
Isn't that insane when
weird.
you come across people that
Dude, we're so smart.
right? We have to be. We have to be the smart.
Dude, I'm like so wise.
I'm definitely convinced that our generation is going to be.
Some of us.
Some of us. There are some of us that are really bad, but I do happen to believe that since we have the privilege of being the only generation that will ever exist, possibly, that knows what it was like before the internet, while we were kids.
Dark times.
And then to grow up with the internet, specifically our age group, like the internet was like really popular when we were 8, 9, 10 through 15, high school.
That's when it exploded.
Yeah, so we literally grew up as the internet was growing up. And
it's an interesting perspective. We had our adolescence together.
Yeah, exactly. And then whatever it becomes next with artificial intelligence and, symbiotically fusing robot arms onto people, and eventually if Black Mirror becomes real life and they can download consciousness onto a chip and you can just stay in some sort of Ethernet port forever, whatever that becomes, we're going to be the generation that group that we're the test guinea pigs of the internet.
True. Yeah,
and I think
that's a good perspective though to be in.
I do, and I think that's why we have the best chance if we're smart, because we're the first ones, and because everyone after this will have the internet from the second they're born, and the technology is just a natural part of their life. We have to be smart about how we are custodial with that information.
Yeah, it's a responsibility.
Vocab word for the day, custodial. But we have to. I do think that we have a chance, if we're careful, to be a really big force of change in the next, couple hundred years.
That's true.
Everything's starting now.
That's true.
And
that's an interesting. I've actually hadn't thought about that because the generation before us, kind of. Of course, they have the internet now and they can use it and whatnot, but they hit it late. They weren't in that sort of absorbent stage.
Yeah.
That learning, where everything just gets soaked up like we did.
It was we were the first kids to have computer labs.
Yeah.
Right, where you would have or computer classes where you would have